Hey everybody, how you doing? Yeah, that sucked. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your Let's try that again. Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers presented by Mortgage CS. Check out mortgagecS.com/PHLY to start your home buying process today. Company NMLS ID number 1464766. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me tonight, the one and only JP Zapata. Charlie will be along. I can't imagine the Tortorella press conference. Maybe he goes nuts tonight, calls out Wes McCauley or something, but he'll be along eventually. It was not the Flyers' night. Clearly not my night, based on the intro to this show. You know, something I've only done a couple thousand times. But it was 7-0 loss for our Flyers down in Tampa. You know, a couple of days ago, they have what I called the biggest win of the season against the Florida Panthers, 2-1 win. They had a really nice trade deadline, I thought, and a couple of days leading up to the trade deadline. And as the Flyers have taught us time and time again, we can never get too high without a huge low coming. JP, what'd you think of this slop?
I always say, Bill, timing is everything. And unfortunately for the Flyers, timing was just not there for them. We just talked about the big win that happened on Thursday. So you go into this one, you really wasn't sure what to expect. But one thing I would say, I don't know anyone anticipated the Flyers to sweep the Florida series here. Like, those are two really good hockey teams. So to come away with the split, I definitely feel better about. But this was just an atrocious game from the jump. And obviously, you have the situation beforehand, playing 13-5 with 13-5. Like, that was wild. Egor Zamula gets sick. We have two new players that we got from deadline starting in here as well. We were talking about needing the star players step up. I'm still waiting for that one in this game.
Oh, well, Couturier fought when it was, 4 or 5-0, so you got that at least.
Yeah, we had some fights in here, but nah, Bill, this was truly disappointing.
It was, and it is important to just okay, you put this in perspective. You say you're going to go and split the Florida series. All right. I'd take it. Okay. It's just this is such an ugly loss. And I know it's not a division game, but it does we said before, it kind of works like that as a 4-point game just because of the way the standings are going to fall. The Islanders are going to play 2 more times. JJ said near the end of the broadcast, they're going to play 2 more times before the next time the Flyers take the ice. So they have the opportunity, 4 points back of the Flyers, to tie them in the standings over the next couple of days. And you start looking at that wild card. This is essentially one of those 4-point games. And it just kind of continues a trend of not coming up big in those sorts of games, like we've seen against the Devils, like we've seen a couple of times in this latter part of the season, where they're in a tough stretch of the schedule, no doubt about it, and they go out and represent themselves very well. A couple of nights ago against the Florida Panthers, they're also never going to catch the Florida Panthers. It's great to beat that team, and I want to take nothing away from that, but I really would have liked to see them come out with just a little bit more. You lose. Again, you split this series. It is only one game, whatever. But to just get thoroughly throttled the way they did tonight, 7-0. They give up a goal a minute 49 in. Victor Hedman scores his first of the game, and it ended. The game ended less than 2 minutes in. That's really tough. That's like giving up the leadoff home run on the first pitch, and it's and then you lost.
Yeah.
And then that was it. You never scored. You never really pushed back. I know the shot count was what it was tonight. It was okay. That tells no story. At no point were the Flyers dangerous. At no point did they look like they were in this game. There was some wild stuff that happened. I mean, the first 10 minutes of the game were the entire game. That's
how they want it.
That's really how it all went. And you said, it starts pregame with the Lightning honoring the 20th anniversary of that Stanley Cup team that John Tortorella coached in 2004. They beat the Flyers in the Eastern Conference Final in 7 that year. And then the Flyers only have 5 defensemen. Egor Zamula gets sick. Apparently, they did try to bring up Adam Ginning.
Okay.
But they weren't. There were complications with the flight. They couldn't get a flight. It is shit weather here.
True.
So maybe that has something to do with whatever it is. They weren't unable to get him back to Florida in time for tonight's game. So they only have the 5 defensemen, and 3 of them are 37-year-old Mark Stahl, about to turn 36 in like a week, Eric Johnson, and then Ronnie Attard, who is what? On the organizational depth chart, 9th,
right?
Like a guy who was never going to play this year unless you were in a situation like this. And then you have Sanheim and you have York, who looked pretty banged up after the last game. Like they were kind of in a no-win situation tonight. 2 new guys, like you say, make their debut. Maybe this is just... The hope has to be this is just, we didn't have it tonight. Mm-hmm. I hope it is not a sign of things to come, because that will be a really, really depressing way for the last month of this season to go after the way they have played for the first, what's it been now, 65 games of the season. I hope they are able to bounce back. It's nice. At least you get the San Jose Sharks coming up. And they just sold. They're even worse now.
Right.
They're even worse now. Now the Sharks did beat them back, early in the season. The Sharks got their first win against the Flyers. So obviously you cannot take them lightly. But if the Flyers come out and play their game, that should be 2 points when they line up against the Sharks. I just hope this isn't the team is now like, well, you sold everyone. Dudes are sick. Dudes are hurt. We're done. I really hope that's not the case.
Right. I mean, Bill, we're about to get to the point where you might need to suit up and play defense.
I honestly, when Sanheim goes down tonight, I'm just like, well, what happens now? Like, they should just forfeit, honestly. Like, there's no one left. Someone else is going to get hurt. Owen Tippett looked like he did come back.
Right.
Now, we did see Nick Seeler at least attempt to come back when it looked like he got a shot in a similar area. Mm-hmm. And they always say, wait till you take that skate off. That's really when the issues happen, because that's when it balloons up. Like, your foot is in the skate. It cannot swell. As soon as you take the skate out, it blows the hell up. So maybe he's fine. We'll see. He did. Seeler came back and then took a couple of shifts and left. Owen Tippett came back and kind of looked like himself. He had a little rush chance. He was out on the power play. So maybe he's fine. We'll see. But this was... It was just a disaster, and let's just go over that first 10 minutes. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about our friends over at Bagels and Company. That's right, Bagels and Co. The best Brooklyn-style bagels made right here with Philly love. First thing you got to know about Bagels and Company: huge bagels, just big, old, nice, delicious Brooklyn-style bagels, and a huge variety of the bagels, usually 15 to 20 different types, anything from your everything. Kelly told us they had a rye everything, like different varieties of things like that, and then all the way to a Dorito bagel. Ooh. All sorts of different flavors for all sorts of different tastes. And when you have that many bagels, you need a ton of cream cheeses. 30 different flavors of cream cheeses available. And probably the most important thing, an affordable brand. You get a lot of food for cheap, and who doesn't need that? And do not sleep on the coffee. Anyone who maybe watched my appearance on DMVR, like a lot of people who haven't seen me before, were like, oh man, what's this guy's caffeine intake? It's a lot. And when you drink as much caffeine as I do, you really need to not spend $7 a cup of, and that's where Bagels and Company comes through. Really good, inexpensive coffee. So for the best Brooklyn-style bagels made right here in Philly, head to thebagelsandco.com/store-locator to find the closest Bagels and Company near you. So the first 10 minutes of this game, I'm trying to get the box score up. We have Victor Hedman, Nick Paul, Connor Sheary, and then at the 10:49 mark, Braden Point makes it 4-0. They all score. We also have how many penalty minutes just in the first half of the first period? Ronnie Attard, Nick Paul, Austin Watson, Attard again, and that's really kind of when he lost it. The Garnett Hathaway misconduct, and that's we have the bench minor then on
43
Torts getting
minutes?
kicked out. That's, overall, what were there, 43? And just in the first 10 and a half minutes of this game, like, just a shit ton of penalties. And a lot of these, listen, They needed to be more disciplined than they were tonight. Also, find me where Adard committed that hold on Anthony Cirelli.
Yeah.
Find me that Adard and I think it was Stahl both tried to bump off. Both tried to bump off a Lightning player, and Adard gets called for the trip. I get what the ref was like thinking happened. I don't actually know if anything happened. Like, I don't know. And then Garnet Hathaway, yeah, he needs to be more disciplined. But, I mean, a shove on the shoulder, you see that after literally every time the goalie stops a puck in this league. And he gets a 10-minute misconduct. It was a ref show out there. The Flyers needed to be smarter. But, like, I understand why Tortorella lost it. The team's already shorthanded. Tampa needs no help.
Yeah.
They're really good. And it's okay, yeah, here, have a bunch of power plays. And Tortorella just lost it. You can see him just mouthing, fuck off.
That was funny, man.
The I'm not leaving was, no, I'm not going anywhere. Like, that was actually really, really funny. So he gets booted. Can't wait to hear what Charlie has to say in his report from Tampa tonight. But it was just, going back to the game in Philly against Tampa, the lights go out.
Dude, what's with it?
They just play some weird-ass games against this team. It's I can't explain it, but it's been wild the last couple games against the Lightning.
No, it really has, man. It's funny because, like, that's one of the things we talked about during pregame. It was extremely important for the Flyers to stay off the power play kill, I should say there. And unfortunately, yeah, it's hard to criticize them for that because if you look at the two penalties, I mean, it's very questionable. And obviously, we did get the moment of the game with Torts and the refs, but yeah, I mean, when you give when Tampa's on the power play 4 times tonight and they go 3 for 4, I mean, you obviously get mad at it, but when you look deeper into it, it's kind of hard to be mad at that. But that's a big part of why they lost tonight.
Yeah, it's like I want to criticize them because they did the exact opposite of what they needed to do to start this game. And it's like, but did they? Like, yeah, like the penalties got called, so they didn't do what they needed to do staying out of the box. It was like our main talking point on tonight's pregame. But like I don't know. In any circumstance, all those penalties that got called on them could have easily been ignored. And it's Wes McCauley out there. It's funny. He actually has tossed John Cooper out of a game. I think it was last season they mentioned. He actually tossed him out of a game before. You know what you're getting. He's basically Joe West. He wants attention. That's why, he says funny things on the mic. Like, you know what I need a ref to do? Not be funny.
Right.
Make good calls. And that's not why the Flyers lost tonight.
Right.
Like, the Flyers lost tonight because they sucked. Like, I'm complaining about the officiating in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the officiating was bad. The game was weird. The Flyers straight up sucked. Like, they were horrible. They did not score. They never looked dangerous. I looked this up. I can remember. I could, like, off the top of my head, I was like, what is this? Like, the 3rd time they've given up 7 this year? It's the 5th time they've given up 7 goals in a game this season. And some of them were close. I mean, they lost 7-6 to Pittsburgh. They lost 7-6 to Detroit. But there was the Colorado 7-4 loss, the Anaheim 7-4 loss early in the season. This was by far their worst loss of the season, just in terms of the way they played, the final score, like the pushback after Tampa's initial momentum taking early in this game. The Flyers were just like, all right, it's over. And we did get, a Nick Delorier fight, kind of the wake up boys fight. That's his job. He's there to do that. It's not like he's going to contribute on the score sheet. Still looking for goal number 1 out of Delorier this year. But he played his role, but the Flyers just kind of never woke up.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, Torts has told us before that, look, yeah, it's fun, but there are going to be moments kind of like what we saw here tonight. And it's just the fact is that the Flyers just ran into a tough Tampa team, and we were in a bad spot with the injuries and some new players that we had to debut here as well. It's not what we want to see, but unfortunately, these type of moments are going to happen. And like, yeah, I mean, when you look at Tampa, you look at the players that they do have, and you look at the players that we have. I mean, it kind of does make sense of what happened here tonight,
especially when the few higher end guys on this team just aren't giving them anything right
Right.
now. And like, I don't want to put Travis Konechny in that group because he's been excellent all year.
For sure.
But he comes back from the injury against the Panthers. He looked good. He didn't make like a huge impact on that game, but he looked good. He was invisible tonight, as was everyone else. But it's like, you're kind of that guy. You're the energy guy who also scores all the goals.
Yeah.
So we need you to be that dude. And he wasn't tonight. It's hard to single anyone out, though, in a game where everyone stinks. That's why I'm looking forward to asking Charlie what he thought. Like, Erik Johnson makes his debut. Again, he's going to be 36 like a week or two. And he's been around forever. He was the first overall pick in 2006. Yeah, we kind of know what we're getting out of Erik Johnson at this point. He's a big body. If this defense is healthy, he's probably not even here. When they get healthy, he's probably not even going to play. He said as much. Like, oh, my best days are well behind me. I'm just kind of here to be a depth piece, add some experience where I can, be physical. But I'm interested to hear what Charlie has to say about Gurianov, because I thought he was one of the few guys with at least a little bit of jump tonight.
Yeah.
He got some power play time, had a scoring chance or two. It's very interesting how much they see him as, and he's 26, but like sort of a reclamation project. This is a dude with a 20-goal season in his career. He's scored, he's had some good depth scoring seasons, and really just didn't get a shot in the NHL this year. In Nashville, only played 14 games. Now the Flyers really want to give him a look. They think he's somebody that maybe could play a role here. I don't know how many more dudes like him they need, but maybe it's like a Lawton replacement or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I brought it up during the deadline show. It kind of reminded me a lot like the Brendan Lemieux move. It's just a player with some forward depth that we're trying to get here with Gurianov. So when I see him out there, I just see him, as you mentioned, a reclamation project. We're trying to see if we can get anything, if anything, out of him. And listen, if you do get some type of depth piece out of him, I mean, that's a cheap option that you were able to get the deadline here in 23, 24. It's not a bad move. One point I did want to mention too, because we also talked about in the pregame show, we didn't really give him anything, but Vasilevsky looked much better than he did in Philadelphia.
Oh, he certainly did,
and that was a big part of it too.
He wasn't tested much, but he does earn the shutout. He ends up with
some of the shots in Philly that I was like, what the heck?
Ends up with he was way off his game against the Flyers last time they played. Tonight, only 25 shots. But he made all 25 saves, so you have to give him the credit. On the other end, Sam Ersson, man, gave up 4 goals on 15 shots in 10 minutes and 49 seconds before he's pulled tonight. Plays half of the first period, gives up 4 goals. We said if they're going to win this game, he's going to have to be one of the stars, if not the star of the game. And this is,
dude,
when he's not, this is what happens, apparently.
Do you love how everything we said in pregame didn't happen?
The opposite happened. Yeah, I find that pretty funny. Yes, I do. You have to laugh, or otherwise you just be like, what the fuck?
No, seriously. And I mean, for Ersson, you really do feel for him. I'm curious what Charlie has to say, but I just feel like that situation, I mean, it was like 4 goals, it was 4 goals, and you got Torts had to make a decision there. So unfortunately, gets pulled, and it was ironic because at that time, then Torts shortly after gets the boot from the game too. So it was a hectic couple minutes there at that point. But you just do feel for Ersson. Unfortunately, that's probably the move that many people would take at that situation. And you got some Sandstrom in there who got put in a tough spot. But we'll see how Ersson bounced back from that one. But for the most part, he's been able to bounce back from those type of situations.
He has, and that's kind of one of the things that they've pointed to throughout the season with Ersson is he's unflappable. He doesn't let things bother him. He has that short memory that you need as a goalie, like they say about relief pitchers or anyone who's in that spotlight position. A quarterback, a pitcher. You can't worry about your last one. You have to remember. You have to just go out and make the next one. And that Sam Ersson's going to be leaned on down the stretch. Yeah. It's not like Felix Sandstrom did a ton to be like, oh yeah, I should get more of a look. He gives up 3 goals as well tonight. It's going to be Ersson's net. Yeah. I think he's going to bounce back. I don't think this is going to be, and now Ersson's been exposed. I think this was just a shit night for everyone. There wasn't a dude out there who looked good, goalie included, and that's how you lose 7-0. We're wrapping up tonight, and you just go, you have anything positive? It's like, no. I can't think of a single thing that went well tonight.
Not one thing.
I mean, Sean Couturier fights. It's his first regular season fight in 6 years. Cam Atkinson at the end of the game.
What was that?
They said that might be his first career fight.
Ever.
That's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know, man. What I do know is some dudes needed to chill tonight. You know who really needed to chill was John Tortorella. Hopefully he got a couple of cold ones in the dressing room after he got booted. He was on fire tonight.
Yeah, he was. And
when those things happen, sometimes we all just need to take a break and chill. And there's no better way to chill than with an ice-cold Coors Light. So whether you're freaking out about absolutely horrible penalty calls or, maybe your goalie getting lit up, Sean Couturier fighting, whatever you're freaking out about, you need to find the Blue Mountains in your fridge and enjoy a beer as cold as the Rockies. Because when everything surrounding your favorite hockey team is on fire, or maybe you ate the hottest wings you've ever eaten in your life, you just got to chill. When you choose to rise above it all, choose chill, choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
There you go.
I got to remember to swallow before I start speaking so I don't spit it everywhere like I did last game.
That was good.
I guess we can talk about the Bobby Brink situation. And these are just talking points at this, what do you want me to say about the game, people? I honestly, the game ended 2 minutes in. What do you want me to do?
But control this.
Bobby Brink does not play tonight. A lot of people, so it's like Gurianov or it's Delorier. Really, it's Cam Atkinson who is playing over Bobby Brink. That's what's causing me the consternation. And just taking a quick look at the old box score, Cam Atkinson, let's see, no points tonight, 1 shot on goal, 1 hit, 12-19 of ice time. So he's basically a fourth liner at this point. And I know you don't want maybe Bobby Brink playing fourth line minutes. 12 minutes of Bobby Brink is better than 12 minutes of Cam Atkinson. He's not. He made 2 plays tonight. It was like, oh, look, he's playing. And one of them was a fight. I just don't understand the point of this. If they're going to throw games like they did tonight with 5 defensemen, and why go get Erik Johnson? I don't know. Play the better player. Cam Atkinson has had a hell of a career. He's had a long career. He's been really good for a long time. He isn't anymore. Bobby Brink is going to be part of this team's future. Play him. We are competitive this season while rebuilding so that these young guys know what it's like to play in meaningful games. So play them in meaningful games. Again, Bobby Brink playing tonight does not change the outcome. They probably still lose 7-0. But have him have this taste in his mouth. Have him know how bad this feels so that when they get back out there, when's the San Jose game? I think it's Tuesday. Yeah. They can go out and want to take this out on somebody. Let him be a part of this. It's all experience. And I understand he doesn't need to play every single night and just sitting him every now and then. But if he's up here, play him. Otherwise, send him to the Phantoms. You send him down on paper so he's eligible for the AHL playoffs. Right. Okay. If he's not going to play him down there. It's just very frustrating to me, JP.
I'm right there with you. And there have been times where I can understand the justification of not playing a young player like Bobby Brink. Reminder, I know it feels like it's forever, but we were in the same boat with Morgan Frost earlier in the year, and we were wondering why are we not putting in Morgan Frost? The 11-7, obviously I can understand because your defensemen were playing really well at that time. But this one, I can't justify because you said it right there. 12 minutes of Bobby Brink is much better to see than 12 minutes of Cam Atkinson. Cam right now is just dead space in this lineup right now because he's really not providing much of anything. I doubt he's providing much veteran leadership at this point because his confidence is pretty much shot. You could see it out there on his play. Even that fight was embarrassing.
He just basically got tackled. I don't really understand what happened there. It really looked like, and I can't pronounce the dude's name, so I'm not going to try to. It really looked like that dude just tackled Atkinson off, and it was what? Why is he pissed? He's up 7-0. What are you mad about, dude? So who the hell knows what that was about? But I guess he Atkinson he got in the box score.
Cam had no plan in that fight either, which is the worst part.
I mean,
about
it's his
it.
first one ever,
That's
so
true.
it makes sense. I just
go up to Nick real quick, like, yo, Nick, what do I do here? I'm about to fight.
It was just the Couturier fight and even that Atkinson fight. It's very much to me like the Delorier fight. I thought did serve a purpose. It's like I got to wake the boys up. This is my role. Those fights, and we used to say this about Brandon Manning all the time. The Flyers would lose, and Brandon Manning, who nobody wanted in the lineup, would just like at the end of a game get in a fight, and it was like, see, he's still trying out there. He stays in the lineup. I was like, no, he's doing this on purpose. Like that's what those fights kind of felt like to me. And I understand, like Couturier, he's not coming out of the lineup anytime soon. They just gave him the C, and he maybe sees it as, okay, I'm going to try to get the boys. But it's too little too late at that point. I just, as much as I love the fights, I could have very much done without those tonight. What's the point of this? You're getting killed.
I did like the Coots fight, and I really did think that fight could have helped with the confidence with Coots. Maybe that could have spurred something. He could have scored a goal in this game, but unfortunately that didn't happen. It was ironic because I did ask you when was the last time Coots fought, and when I looked it up, it was 2019.
A preseason fight against Brendan Lemieux. What was Sean Couturier doing fighting in the preseason in 2019? He was the team's 1C. Maybe the 1C had a rough night, but the number one beat reporter in Philadelphia always has a great night. He's reporting live from spring break, live from the scene of the crime tonight after the Flyers lose by a touchdown in Tampa Bay. It is Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, what the hell happened tonight?
They just didn't have it tonight. And maybe we are not used to this year. Like, these kind of games were regular occurrences the previous 3 seasons. We got used to them. Particularly those 2 really bad seasons, the one in 2021 and then the 2021-2022 season, where these were like once every couple weeks they would deliver a stinker like this. They really haven't delivered too many stinkers. Tonight was one of them. Tonight it was abundantly clear to me, and I really think if I had to break down what I believe happened, like at its core, what happened in this game, you look at Tampa. Tampa lost 6-3 at home to Calgary on Thursday. John Cooper called them out, basically said it was a disgraceful performance and we need to be better. And to me, what happened in this game was the first period, Tampa came out just like a bat out of hell. Like they were intent on having a bounce back game. And the Flyers, it's not like a team can't theoretically handle that. If you're the Flyers, you just have to match their energy. And I just didn't think the Flyers were quite ready to match their energy to start the game. And Tampa was just so fired up and so intent upon making a statement that they were just able to blow the doors off the Flyers before the Flyers even realized what the hell was going on.
Charlie, the highlight of the game from the Flyers' perspective is obviously the John Tortorella getting booted situation. Did he speak at all? Like, what did we get anything on what happened there? Did you get anything out of Torts tonight?
No, so we obviously asked for Tortorella. He did not speak after the game. Brad Shaw took it because I guess Tortorella's thing is I didn't coach the game, the majority of the game, so you'll get the coach who coached the majority of the game. So we got Brad Shaw. Look, I think it was abundantly clear it was frustration with the officials, and that's what look, Torts obviously has a temper, and he was obviously frustrated they were down 4-0. That's just only going to make him more angry because the guy hates losing. He's super hyper competitive. But it was very clearly the officiating. I'm writing up a story on the game, but to me it was there were 3 calls that all were somewhere between borderline and just plain wrong. Like you have the first Ronnie Adder penalty where the puck almost goes in the net. I do not have a clue what he did wrong on that play. Like I've watched that replay 6 or 7 times. I do not see any penalty there. It's chaos. The puck almost goes in. Adder touches a guy and then gets called for a penalty. Like that struck me as something had to have been worth a penalty on that play. So I guess we'll just give it to him. And that was a ridiculous call. Tampa obviously scores on the ensuing power play. Then, and this Bradshaw did actually speak to, the second penalty on Adder, Bradshaw basically said, look, I view that as more or less incidental contact. 2 guys are skating down the ice, chasing down the puck. They clip skates. One guy falls down, the other one doesn't. Like that to him wasn't a trip. To me, it wasn't a trip either. That said, there were a few other people in the press box that argued like, hey, just because it's an inadvertent high stick doesn't mean it's not a penalty, and fair. But I think that was a gray area call that they called based on the result rather than what actually happened. So that one goes against the Flyers. And then I truly do not understand how you can give Garnet Hathaway a 10-minute misconduct for something that happens 30 times a game. Like, this is just hockey. Why? And Garnet Hathaway is one of the Flyers' better penalty killers. Like, he is legitimately good at killing penalties, and they just throw him out of the game for 1/6 of the game and obviously the entirety of the rest of that penalty kill because he pushed a guy. Like, that's nuts. I understand why Torts was mad.
Yeah.
Should he have gotten that? Should he have gotten that mad? Probably not. But he's Tortorella. He does everything extra, so he did.
Oh yeah, I like the first penalty on Adert especially really cracks me up because the referee who calls it is then staring right there with his arm up, looking at the puck. The Flyers clear it, and he doesn't blow the whistle, and they get like a minute of delayed penalty time before the Flyers. Like, you clearly don't even know what happened if you're looking at it and the Flyers touch it and you're like, oh no, I'm just gonna not blow it. Like, it was a fucking
That's
ref
a really
show.
good point.
Also, the Flyers sucked tonight. Like, I don't want to make it sound like we're saying this is why they lost. They sucked, but like the officials had a horrible night.
Hey, Charlie, what's going on? JP over here. I want to talk about another rough part here tonight. Sam Ersson gets pulled after the 4 goals. Was that more just for his confidence, Charlie? What did you make of Sam's performance tonight?
Well, I mean, we would have asked John Tortorella why he decided to pull him, but obviously John Tortorella then got himself thrown out just as they were making the goalie change. To me, he got pulled because he just didn't have it tonight. The Flyers didn't have it as a team, but Ersson really didn't have it. And you have the first goal, it's through a couple screens. It's not the greatest goal to allow, but sure. You know what? It happens. He probably couldn't see the puck. He should have fought through the screen a little bit better, but it happens. Whatever. The second goal, that puck has to be covered. Like, he's staring at the puck. It's right in front of him. He has to get his glove on that puck and get a stoppage. Instead, he doesn't, and then Nick Paul scoops up the puck and scores. To me, after he gave up that goal, he looked like a mess. And I haven't seen Sam Ersson look like this very often, but there was a save he made, I think it was about like 45 seconds after he gives up that second goal, where he is like almost entirely in his own net. He's small. He just completely looks like a guy who has lost all confidence in his game, and he's just hoping that they're going to hit him with the puck. He's not playing to stop the puck. He's hoping they're going to hit him with the puck. And I saw that, and I just thought to myself, "Ooh boy, he needs to right the ship quick because Tampa's just going to keep coming." Then obviously they scored the third goal, which is maybe the weakest goal I've seen him allow. Like, there's no excuse for allowing that goal. That is a routine NHL save. And he just lets it slip through his pads. Like, to me, I would have probably pulled him after that one. But Torts gives him another one. The fourth goal, it's a big rebound. It wasn't a horrible goal, but coming after the previous two, you got to be a stopper, and he wasn't. Look, I said 2 nights ago, I'm expecting really good things every night from Sam Ersson. He is still a rookie. He is going to have down nights. Tonight was very much a down night. It happened to be a down night on the same night when it was a down night for the entire team, which is obviously not ideal. But there have been, like, even thinking back to Thursday night. Thursday night, the Flyers got significantly outplayed by the Florida Panthers in the first period. Why was that game 0-0? Because Sam Ersson showed up and shut the door and allowed the team to, kind of play their way into a game that they maybe weren't quite ready to match what Florida was throwing at them from the opening faceoff. This game, the Flyers needed that kind of performance from Sam Ersson. They got the opposite. Not only did he not hold down the fort, he basically just swung the fort's doors wide open and just basically did a Goldberg where he's like, go ahead, score. Like, that was Sam Ersson tonight. And you know what? He's a rookie. We got to remember that. But this was not a banner game for Sam Ersson. I'll put it that way.
Charlie, JP made that exact same analogy with the Goldberg thing during the game. That is very funny.
Really?
That's outstanding. I saw they go with the 5 defensemen tonight because they sent some guys down, and I saw you tweeting earlier about the potential LTIR thing and bonus overages and the amount of call-ups you get after the deadline. And then we heard maybe they tried to bring Ginning back, but they weren't able to get him a flight in time. What actually happened with the defense? Do you have any clarification on that?
Yeah, my understanding was they did try. Apparently, they had a flight that he was going to be on. The flight got delayed, then it got delayed again, then it got delayed again. And by then it was like, okay, well, he's not going to get here in time, so I guess we're going with 5 defensemen. Look, this wasn't a banner moment for the front office in terms of managing the situation. However, it does seem like they tried to get Ginning back. My understanding is, and basically this is kind of how they ended up in this situation. So on trade deadline day, if you want a player to retain eligibility for the AHL playoffs, you have to send him down at the deadline and then call him back up. So that's what they did with Ginning, because Ginning is a guy who they expect to spend a significant amount of time the rest of the year in the AHL. That's what they did. Now, what they, I guess, theoretically could have done was plan to immediately have him come back up. Here's the thing, though. From what I've heard, like, if you're going to send a guy down the way they did with Ginning, like, they have to legitimately have a paper trail of, like, he actually went back and then he came back. So this was not a case of, like, they could have just stashed him at a hotel and pretended that he flew and, like, create a flight out of thin air the way they did in A Few Good Men. Like, he had to actually go back to Philly or go to Wilkes-Barre. And apparently he did. And then the Flyers found out this morning that Egor Zamula was sick and they might need another defenseman. Could they have maneuvered it differently? Yes. They could have. Number one, they could have just not sent Ginning down. Then he would have been eligible through the AHL playoffs. But the Phantoms might not make the AHL playoffs, so it might not even matter. They're kind of on the borderline. They took a risk. The Flyers took a risk that they could go the rest of this trip with 6 defensemen, not having an extra one, not having a 7th. And then Saturday morning, Egor Zamula wakes up sick, and they're screwed. And it wasn't their best moment, but it was kind of a bunch of things had to go wrong for this to play out the way it did. Kind of like the game. A bunch of things had to go wrong for it to play out the way it did, and they all went wrong. It was just one of those days for the Flyers.
Yeah, not a great day for the Philadelphia Flyers. Just a couple more from me, Charlie. I want to ask, we saw a couple of dudes make their Flyers debut tonight. I think we all know what to expect out of Erik Johnson at this point. I mean, if you had high expectations, he went out of his way to lower them earlier. He's like, yeah, my best days are behind me. I'm a depth guy. I'm here for my experience. I'll be physical and big and, hopefully not play that much, basically. But Dennis Gurianov is a pretty interesting guy, 26 years old, has a 20-goal season under his belt, has been an okay depth scorer at points in his career, hasn't played much in the NHL this year. What'd you think of him in his first game in orange and black?
I thought he made some plays. He definitely showed the physical ability that he has. He's got puck skills. He can skate. He's big. There's something there. Now, he's 26 going on 27. I'm skeptical that the Flyers are going to unearth something that multiple organizations have proven unable to unearth. But given the fact that they traded away a guy in Wade Allison who really had no fit in the organization anymore, it's abundantly clear that the Flyers no longer believed in him. And John Tortorella in particular didn't seem to believe in him. So you trade away a guy who had no future in the organization, you give him a fresh start, and you get a guy who, hey, maybe, at the very least, they can see what they have in him over the next 5 weeks. There is talent there. I'm skeptical that they're going to be able to unearth something that other organizations have failed to unearth, but why not give it a shot? There is something there, and I think he showed tonight that there's something there. He had some good shifts, made some plays. We'll see how this plays out.
Charlie, real quick, I want to look a little bit ahead here. Obviously, coming off this tough Florida trip, the Flyers in their next 7 have 2 against Boston, 2 against Toronto, 1 against Florida, 1 against the Rangers, and 1 against the Hurricanes. Do you see the Flyers having a winning record after this? Where are we at after these 7 games?
A winning record over the course of the season, or a winning record during this stretch?
Just the next 7 here.
It's
tough road here.
Yeah. I think they're probably going to end somewhere in like the, I'm looking at it as a 10-game stretch, I guess. Okay. So to me, they are 2 games into this tough 10-game stretch. I will guess they go 4-4 in some form or another. Maybe a couple of the losses are in overtime or shootouts that they end up being above hockey 500. I don't think this team is going to fall apart. But the hard truth is that Sean Walker was a darn good player for these guys. I mean, that Walker-Sealer pairing was their most consistent, effective pairing this year. Now it's gone. Walker is legitimately gone. Sealer is injured, and who knows when he's going to be back. He designated himself week to week. It's going to make it tough for them to win games. I do believe that they have they have whatever that intangible factor is that will allow them to squeeze out some wins. But I think it's going to be a struggle. These are really good teams. They're getting them all pretty much one right after another. So if I had to guess, I would guess they squeeze enough out of these games to win 3 or 4. But I'm certainly not expecting them to turn on the afterburners and go 6-2, 7-1. The schedule's just too tough, and they just don't have enough. They already were not the most talented team in the world. Now they purposely weaken themselves, and they're injury ravaged. These games are going to be hard.
Charlie, the Flyers dressed 13 forwards tonight. Bobby Brink isn't one of them. What's the dude got to do to get on the ice? Like, is he falling into Morgan Frost territory? What's going on with this situation?
I'm not ready to say that he's falling into Morgan Frost territory. I will say that it's abundantly clear John Tortorella sees flaws in Brink's game, and he wants Brink to address them. He doesn't love his two-way play. He doesn't love his checking. And I think he's given Bobby Brink a little tough love right now. Now, in my opinion, like, Nick Delorier is not as effective of a player as Bobby Brink, without a doubt. This version of Cam Atkinson, not as effective of a player as Bobby Brink is right now. So I would rather Bobby Brink be playing over both of those guys. That said, I don't think Brink is so good that, like, him being in this game, for example, would have turned it. Like, they probably still lose this game 7-0, maybe 6-0. Maybe it takes away 1 goal. I don't know. But look, I'd like to see Brink play. I think he will get in games the rest of the way. But it's pretty clear that Tortorella has his issues with Brink's play and the player he is right now, and is really going to make the kid earn it.
Charlie, I want to talk a little bit about the ceremony or the honor that they had for the 04 team today. Was there any love for Torts? Did they show any clips of Torts here for the honor for the 04 team?
Oh yeah. There were clips in the video, and I didn't get the sense that he was getting more cheers than anyone else. But yeah, the fans were excited. Look, I'm sure John Tortorella is still very much beloved here. You know, he brought this franchise its first Stanley Cup. Somebody made a joke up in the press box today that you could argue it's their only Stanley Cup because the other 2 Stanley Cups were COVID related. So maybe if you want to say neither of them count, hey, if you want to be that big of a jerk, sure, that's your right as a fan. But look, it's kind of like, you know, for example, I know the Eagles had won championships, not a Super Bowl, but like, Philadelphia Eagles fans are always going to love Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson now is coaching another team, and they are still going to revere that guy because he's the guy who brought them the title. John Tortorella is that guy in Tampa, so I'm sure he's still very well liked here. It was really funny. I don't know if they showed it on the Flyers broadcast, but they showed it on the Tampa broadcast. When Tortorella got thrown out of the game, they threw the camera up to all the guys in the suite from that old 04 Tampa team, and all the guys are just dying laughing, like, oh my God, classic Torts. Like, they thought it was the funniest friggin' thing in the world. Awesome. That was really good. I got a kick out of that.
I was really hoping to see another shot of the suite if he ended up there, maybe have a couple of beers. Hey, I'm kicked out. Fuck it. But anyway, Charlie, I don't want to keep you much longer, so let's get to your 3 stars of the game. I can't wait to hear what the hell you come up with for this one. Let's go to star number 3.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, none of these stars can be Flyers. I'm sorry. I can't be that biased in this case. I guess my 3rd star, I'll go through these quick since they're all Tampa Bay Lightning players. My 3rd star, I'll give it to Braden Point. You know, I think he just in general has an impact on every game that I watch. He does so many little things. He's a really fun player to watch in person, especially away from the puck. He was his usual strong self, so I'll give him the 3rd star. 2nd star, it's funny, I didn't really notice this guy all that much, but Darren Radish finished with 5 assists. That's wild. So, like, good for him. I didn't notice him as being an especially, like, standout guy, that he was doing incredible things, but 5-assist game, man. Like, good for you, dude. He came into this game with 21 points. Now he's at 26. Like, sure. I don't know where that came from, but good for you, Darren Radish.
Good for him.
He's my second star. First star I thought was everywhere in this game was Victor Hedman. You know, he was very much Victor Hedman, one of the best defensemen of our generation, Victor Hedman in this game. He had kind of had a little bit of a down year by his standards last year, but by all accounts, talking to the people who watch the Lightning on a nightly basis, he is back in full force this year. He is proving that last year was an aberration. It was not the start of the decline. And tonight, I mean, he was dominant. Like, to me, this was a game, I said it early on, where the Lightning came in wanting to prove something after how underwhelming they played 2 nights before. Victor Hedman, to me, was at the forefront of, like, we're going to go in and we're going to blow this team friggin' out because we are embarrassed at how we played 2 nights ago. And I thought Hedman, more than anyone, set the tone, not just because he scored the first goal, but just because he was everywhere. He just was – he looked like he was 24 again tonight, and I think he's the obvious choice in my mind for first star.
Charlie, thanks a lot. I think the thing that like might frame this game the best and how wild it was. Nikita Kucherov comes in with 106 points. The next leading scorer on the team is Point with 65. The Lightning score 7 goals. Kucherov has 1 assist. Like,
Wow.
That's the kind of night it was. All right, thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Enjoy the end of your spring break, and I will see you this week, my friend.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy. That is Philadelphia's #1 beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor from Tampa Bay, finishing up his little tour of Florida there. And this show, every show, and his little hit there, all brought to you by our friends over at Mortgage CS. Listen, the spring purchase market is almost here, and it's heating up quickly. Many clients, especially first-time home buyers, are reaching out, and they want to be ready when the rates drop. Listen, that's what everyone's doing. That means there's going to be limited inventory and strong demand, so competition will remain extremely fierce through the rest of this year. So get in touch with Mortgage CS to prepare and ensure you will be able to stand out and make the strongest offers possible. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to refinance, or you just want to know what you have to do to qualify for a mortgage when the time is right, Mortgage CS should be a consideration no matter your situation. There are a plethora of mortgage brokers out there. Many of them will promise the best rates, tell you whatever you want to hear to get you to go with them. But the reason you should consider Mortgage CS is they're honest, good people and always work hard to not let their clients down. But don't take it from me. Check out their reviews on Google. Spoiler alert, their average is 5 stars. It goes up to 5. They are A+ as far as ratings are concerned. Let's take a look at one of their most recent reviews from just a few weeks ago. It reads, there's good reason that Mortgage CS gets all 5-star reviews from their clients. Ben and his team are the most professional, courteous, knowledgeable, well-organized, helpful, fair, and well-connected team that you will ever come across. Couldn't be happier with how they managed to get our complicated deal despite very tight timeline. Highly recommend. Is this not exactly what I've been telling you about Mortgage CS for this entire season? So when you hear the word mortgage, think Mortgage CS. Think of Ben and Alex. Save Ben's telephone number, 267-391-7425 to your phone. Email Ben at ben@mortgagecs.com. Call or text Ben anytime, day or night. And if you're not even in the home buying market, shoot him a text. What the hell happened tonight? 7-0? Really? I bet you he answers. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get started. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID #1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a whole lot else on this one.
I do respectfully have to disagree with Charlie because I think the first start tonight should be John Tortorella.
Honestly, I was hoping he would go that way with the Tortorella thing. Like, what? Nothing else interesting happened this entire game. Like, the Flyers lose 7-0. You're like, all right, well, at least I saw like Nikita Kucherov go off and, make his case for the Hart Trophy. No, we didn't even get, like, this wasn't even a huge point or Stamkos. It was, like, Taylor Radish. Like, who gives a shit? Like, nothing happened in this game. Oh, Vasilevsky shutout. No, they had like 9 shots. Like,
Literally.
2 of them were dangerous, maybe. Nothing. For a 7-0 game with all the penalty minutes, 3 fights, all the weird shit that happened, nothing even comes close to John Tortorella.
That was freaking awesome, man. That was definitely the highlight of the night, man. We're going to remember that for years to come. We're going to be like, remember that game in Tampa and Torts got thrown out?
Listen, we're disappointed in tonight's effort. We're disappointed in the way this has gone down. But the Flyers all year have shown a tendency to be able to bounce back, the tenacity they've shown all year. Hopefully, when they come back home this week, they show it. They have the San Jose Sharks. And then on Thursday, March 14th, it's Flyers Leafs at the Wells Fargo Center. And it's our takeover, baby. Woo! You can still get tickets right now on allphly.com/events. We're having a meetup in the assembly room. You get your game ticket. You're going to hang out with me, hang out with Charlie, hang out with Kelly. We're going to have some beers, have a great time, catch a game with the diehards, catch a game with the PHLY Flyers crew. It's going to be a ton of fun. So that's allphly.com/events. Always make sure you check out our events page. And if you're not a diehard already, guess what? Diehards get discounts on all events. So do that. You also get access to the Discord, all of our paywall stuff. If you're a diehard, you get that, and so many other benefits. So check it out and make sure you get your tickets for the 14th. And while I'm telling you about stuff we're doing this week, I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we're going back. That's right. Me and Charlie are going back to the Flyers Carnival this Sunday, St. Patrick's Day, at the Wells Fargo Center as well. It's going to be a great time. We're going to be doing our show live from the Farg. Going to be awesome on the 17th. And I will be making my return to the dunk tank.
Hey.
That's right. They wanted me back for the dunk tank again. Now, the orange suit got its last wearing last season at the Carnival when I went into the dunk tank with it. That was it for the orange tux.
R.I.P.
But I got something a little special for St. Patty's Day. So if you want to come out, check out the show, check out me in the dunk tank, all of that. It's going to be a great time. So make sure you join us there. All right, that is it for us tonight. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on YouTube. Never miss a live show. Set your reminders so that you know when we go live. PHLY_Flyers on Twitter. PHLY Flyers wherever you get your podcasts. All right, my name is Bill Matz for JP Zapata and Charlie O'Connor. Have a great Sunday night, Philly.
See you guys.
We all silly like the mayor.